Well, let's walk through the disassembly process for this Glock 34. First thing we're going to do is remove the magazine. Depress the magazine release. Magazine comes out, put it to the side. Next, we're going to make sure the pistol's unloaded. Pull the slide to the rear, look into the chamber, no rounds, pull the trigger. Now we're going to depress the slide to the rear slightly. It doesn't need to come back much. Just enough to relieve tensions. We can push down on this little lever right here on both sides. So there's a lever here, lever here. Both sides have to be pushed down evenly for the slide to come off the pistol. So we'll pull it to the rear slightly, push down on the levers, the slide comes off. Now we're going to set the frame to the side. We'll come back to this in a few minutes. Now we're going to work on the top end. Guide rod pulls out, just snaps into this little groove in the front, and then into the little oval cut on the bottom of the barrel here. Barrel comes out, set those to the side. Next, we're going to disassemble the fire control group in the rear. So the first thing we're going to do, pull the striker back, and if you notice, there's a little plastic sleeve right here. Right. We're going to depress that. That's going to relieve tension on the back plate so we can get the back plate off. So we'll slide our little small screwdriver in here, and then we're going to push the back plate off. Screwdriver's out. That frees up our striker and our extractor plunger assembly. Back plate, if you notice the little indented round area on the inside, the back of the striker here engages with that little cutout, and that's what holds the back plate on the slide. Depressing the little plastic piece in the middle relieves pressure on this and allows the back plate to come off. Next, we'll remove the striker assembly. We'll disassemble this in just a second. Your extractor plunger spring, and your extractor rod. And we'll set that to the side. Now we're going to remove the striker safety and the extractor. The easy way to do this, depress the striker safety with your thumb, turn the slide to the side, tap it, the extractor falls out in your hand, put that to the side, and then pull your striker safety and spring out, put that to the side. Slide is completely disassembled. Everything except the sights, no need to remove those for any kind of maintenance. Now we'll disassemble the striker assembly, and I'm going to show you a trick for this. So an easy trick for disassembling your striker assembly is get a fired 9mm case. 40 or 45 works too, but 9mm is a nice snug fit. What this does is it's going to support the striker while we remove the spring cups. So we slide our case on the back. Now we're going to depress our spring, and we're going to flip our spring cups off, and the spring comes off. You can see here we've got our spring cups, our spring. This gun's pretty nasty, so now my fingers are too. 9mm case comes off. Slide this piece off. You can see our striker is completely disassembled. That's it for the top end, guys. So with our top end, I always like to build the sub-assemblies first. We'll start with our striker assembly. Put all of our parts back together. And our assembly tool. We've got our striker retainer, striker spring, cups, and this is the little tool that I like to use to put everything together, just a 9mm case. So the first thing we do is slip the striker back in here, and this little cutout goes over the striker hook itself. Next, we're going to slip all of this inside the 9mm case. Then the striker spring. Then we're going to pull our spring down, and we're going to drop the spring cups on top of the spring. I'll do these one at a time and show you what they look like. Alright, there you can see the cup installed. One won't hold it in place, so if you let go it will fall off. Our second one, and we'll let everything back up. And here's our striker assembled. We can take our little 9mm case off, put it to the side. We're done with that. Now the striker is ready to go back in the slide. We're ready to build the top end. Okay, let's finish assembling the top end. The first thing we're going to do is put our striker in. We don't go all the way in with it. I like to put it in till it just starts to engage with the slide here. Leave it sitting there like that. Next, we're going to put our striker safety plunger in and spring. It drops in the little hole. Depress that all the way in. You can see here how that works. Moves in and out. Blocks your striker movement, and it also fits in behind your extractor. That's what we're going to do. We're going to push this in. We're going to push it all the way up. Then we're going to drop the striker in. And then we're going to drop the extractor in. And now we can release the striker safety, and the extractor will hold it in place. Now you can push your striker in. Next is going to be your extractor assembly. Remember, the spring and plunger faces out just like this. That drops right in this little hole. Once you put it in, make sure that it's engaged with the extractor on the side. What can happen is the extractor can get lifted up This can go in and bottom out against it. It almost looks like it's assembled, but it's not. If you put it together like this, you could have problems. Make sure that your extractor is pushed down and the rod slips over the top of it. This traps the extractor and helps hold it in place. Now we can release our plunger so everything stays where it's supposed to be. All right, now let's put our back plate on. What I do is I start the back plate. You can see the grooves here and here, where these edges on the back plate drop in. Slip that into place. Take a small punch. Depress your striker assembly while putting upward pressure on your back plate. Next, we're going to depress our extractor plunger while pushing up on the back plate. Everything slides up, and now we're going to click it into place. Listen for the click. And once we get our back plate to this point, we've got everything covered up. We're going to push up and listen for the click. That click is the sound of your back plate locking into place. Now let's install our barrel. The barrel's going to go in at an angle like this. Slide it through, push it back, and it drops in. Next is going to be our guide rod assembly. The guide rod assembly is going to go into this recess here, and then into this little quarter moon cut right here. With this one, this is an aftermarket guide rod. It has a screw on one end that holds the assembly together, and then the larger head on the back. The screw is going to go to the front, smaller end goes to the front, and then the large head here is going to drop in. So what we're going to do is set this in. We're going to depress it forward, push down until it fits into that little quarter moon cut. Make sure the guide rod is centered, that it's not off to one side or the other. That way it'll slide really easily. That way it'll slide onto the frame really easily. Next, we're going to take our frame. These are the frame rails. These are the slide rails. Those two mate together. We set the slide on top of the frame. Start it forward. So it goes over the rails here. I'm going to push the slide all the way to the rear. Rack the slide. And that's it, guys. Complete disassembly and reassembly of your Gen 3 Glock 34.